It's the Bruins Benders podcast, season 3, episode 13. Maddie and T Swift's birthday spectacular. Welcome all. Brought to you by the Inside the Ring podcast network. InsideTheRink.com is your one-stop shop for all your NHL and ECHL news, insight, and analysis. Follow on X at inside_the_rink. Download the Inside the Rink app. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button on YouTube if you're watching us there. Great to have you again. And Smitty has some info on signing up for ESPN Plus.
Yeah, you can go to insidetherink.com/ESPN and sign up today. I have ESPN Plus. I love all the college sports, UFC and NHL hockey. So sign up for ESPN Plus at insidetherink.com/ESPN today so you don't miss any of the NHL action. One last time, sign up at insidetherink.com/ESPN.
You've been into the bowl season, have you? I think the ball gag bowl was last night or one of those.
I saw somebody tweet out today, make your own bowl game. And it was the last place you shopped, the last thing you ate or drank, and then add bowl. So I had the Liquor World Latte Bowl. And I'm going to tell you what, I kind of love it.
It's kind of catchy.
I kind of love it.
Yeah. So it was the last place you shopped. Okay.
Liquor World. Yep.
Okay. Liquor.
Right. Last thing I had to eat was a caramel latte from our friends at Dunkin' Donuts. Shout out. And bowl. Yeah, the bowl games. It's probably going to be a couple of 4 and 7 teams, all drunk and high on caffeine, and just going at it.
I guess you don't have a bunghole liquors like over in Peabody there.
No bunghole liquors. No. Imagine if it was bunghole Burger King bowl or something like that. That would be fitting.
Burger King bowl.
That would be fitting.
I think I would have been Dollar Tree meatball bowl.
Dollar Tree meatball bowl.
I had a meatball tonight. Just a singular meatball.
Just a singular ball. A solo ball.
Yeah, just a ball of meat tonight.
Yeah.
Protein and all.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's an interesting little game. It's catchy as hell though. I like that one.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, it was a Georgia Southern against Indiana State Wesleyan or someone.
Yeah, it's not going to be it's not going to be anybody that's playing for anything meaningful.
No, not at all.
For the prize at the end is probably a 6-pack of Natural Light and a bag of that you have to roast yourself.
Right. Who's in the Fenway Bowls? BC in BC in a bowl?
Oh, yeah.
Fenway Bowls is a real.
Tell you what, I could give a frog's fat ass who are in any of the bowl games.
Yes.
Do a fucking playoff system, please, and thank you.
Please.
The fact that a couple of these teams got left out of the college football playoffs is absolutely ridiculous to me. How Florida State doesn't make it with an undefeated record, I will never know.
A power conference team with an undefeated record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really shocking, really.
Yeah, left out.
It's really shocking.
So I mean the whole bowl season thing, like shoot it into the sun. I could care less.
Yeah. You know what else we could shoot into the sun is this past week of Bruins hockey. Losing 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Haven't had that in a while. And on December 13, my birthday and Taylor Swift's birthday, at New Jersey, exit 16W, a loss 2-1 in overtime. Bruins jump out to a lead in the first on a goal by Morgan Geekie, who's been playing well for them, but another blown lead in the third, and they lose in overtime on a goal by Jack Hughes. Too much time and space for a player that good.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the blown leads thing is taken to a whole new level this week. They're just coughing them up here left and right, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. But that's a problem that they really need to correct here. And this will be this week. 4 straight games all went to overtime too. Just
4 straight games to overtime.
They're competing and competitive, but the blown leads thing is definitely going to come back to bite them in the ass if they don't get this thing figured out before the playoffs come.
Yeah, sure. And then 2 days later, on the 15th, at the Islanders, a 5-4 win in a shootout. Mason Lohrei ties it late from behind the net and a kind of a weird goal in the corner.
Yeah.
The Bruins win in the shootout on goals by Coyle and Pasternak, and this was actually one of the games where they actually came back late.
Hmm.
The recipe that's been killing them of late, but they actually do it to the Islanders this time and get the win.
Yeah, it was a nice win. I mean, it was a hard fought game, kind of a back and forth game. Bruins were chasing the score kind of all night long, and then Lowry banks one in late, and Coyle and Pasternak both with beautiful shootout goals. I think Coyle was a backhand roof thing, and then Pasternak does that little pullback kind of behind himself there and just lets one fly, and the goalie has no idea where it's going, and it usually goes in the net.
That's quite a snipe. What a move that is. Oh
It
my
really
lord.
is.
Can you imagine? And then the next day, second night of a back-to-back, the Rangers at home, a 2-1 loss in overtime. Again, the Bruins get the lead, this time in the second on a goal by Trent Frederick, but then they blow the lead in the third again. Vinny Trocheck with a goal in the third to tie it, about 6 minutes left, and wins it in overtime when it looked like the defense of the Bruins just kind of the controller died, and they let him just go right through to the
Yeah.
net. Like no one marked him.
No.
And I know Grzelcyk was on the ice for a minute and a half or so, but still, you can go with him.
Yeah, I mean,
net. No one did.
I mean, you could even glide backwards. I mean, he didn't even move at all. He just stood there, and then the pass went through,
let
and
him right there.
Yeah, and then Trocheck scored, and that was it. Kind of a recurring theme. Not a great win, loss. But they, this is what they've been doing of late, and really all year with the collapsing and giving up leads late in games. So, like we said before, it's kind of beating a dead horse here, but they really need to get this thing figured out before it's too late.
Vinny Trocheck is a guy I kind of, in the past, I wanted the Bruins to kind of get.
I wanted him when he was
Trocheck.
when he was with Carolina, before he signed with Carolina. Right. I wanted the Bruins to go hard for him because I think he plays the style that they like. He's a little bit gritty, he's a little bit feisty, but he's got a lot of skill and a lot of talent. And I thought he would have fit in perfectly here, but never came to be.
But alas, the Bruins did not get him.
No, they didn't,
and may not get anyone.
No.
But on December the 19th, last night, Minnesota at home, 4-3 loss in overtime. This one stung a bit because the Bruins played, I thought, really well for large chunks of the game. And Pasternak scores 2 goals after Minnesota takes the lead early, but the Bruins with the lead again going into the third, but can't hold on. Minnesota was like 0-11 or something, not leading after 2. Just never come back to win.
Mm-hmm.
But they gave up the lead, but Marchand ties it late with the extra attacker in a 6-on-4 situation, a scramble in front of the net. But they lose it in overtime. Jake DeBrusk struggles continue. We'll talk about Jake, but man, this is a shot you can't take. You rip it wide around the boards the other way. Your teammate's going to the net. You're to the left of the net with no chance of coming back. It's a 3-on-1 the other way. Doesn't hustle back at all to get back on the back check. And, of course, Kaprizov is going to score that 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000.
Mm-hmm.
But not a great look for a guy who's just not producing offensively. People are talking about his two-way game, and it's defensively his stats are fine and so forth. But, damn it, you are top 6 forward. You've got to score. You've got to score goals.
They can't afford to have him struggling like this. They can't. I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit later too, but they're 18th in goals in the league, 17th in shooting percentage, and 19th in assists.
Uh-huh.
Like they're great defensively, but you got to put the puck in the net. That's part of the reason they lost to Minnesota is they had a 2-1 lead and they had 1,000,000 chances. And now, granted, Fleury stood on his head and was sensational in this game. But, if they bury even one of those chances and give themselves a 2-goal lead, I think Minnesota is like, okay, we're not coming back. Yeah. And that wraps it up and you win. Probably going away. You probably win 4-2, 5-2 or something.
Right.
But instead, one shot beats you, and then it does, and then you're tied, and then you lose.
Right.
So, they just don't have a lot of margin for error offensively right now. So you need all your top 6 guys showing up to play. He looked like John Tavares on the back check in that game. He was just gliding back like there's a 3-on-1 in fucking overtime, dude.
Yeah.
Pay your ass back.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, that was just one of those. He shot it and just was like, "Fuck it." Like, I'm gonna shoot it, see if I can hit the corner of the net. Didn't go in. Okay, great. Like, it's just one of those, like, I don't know. It wasn't a great look at all for a guy who's had some ups and downs and some bad looks in the past. And we talked about this. Like, are you really going to invest in a guy that you don't really know what you're going to get? It's up and down the roller coaster with this guy. Like, it's just, I mean, and he's really playing himself out of a long contract. Like, he was all set up to get a 5 or 6 year deal, and this is his big contract. Now you might be looking at another prove it deal with a guy like DeBrusk because he shot himself on the foot.
Yeah, if he was coming off a year like he had last year, now this year he's looking at a 4 or 5 year deal for $4, $5, $6 million.
Sure.
But not now. He isn't. Now he's looking probably at a 1, 2, 3 year deal tops. Around where he is, probably 3, 4 million. Right. I mean, maybe there'll be a bad team that'll give him a little bit more, and he could go there and produce without any pressure on him. Maybe that's what he needs. But I mean, they need him to be much better than he has been offensively for sure.
I think they might deal him. And I don't. And Sweeney doesn't do this kind of thing. Like, he doesn't do this kind of thing. But I think they might. I think they might just be like, you know what, Jake. We just can't keep doing it. We're not going to keep doing it for another couple of years. We're just not going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So they might.
I'm coming around on that too. I'm with you. I don't think Sweeney likes to trade off the NHL roster during the season, but with a guy like this who's really kind of letting you down here offensively, you really need to upgrade that top 6 group.
You do 100%.
You really need, him to get going, and then another guy.
Right?
They need more than just that. So
sure.
If Jake isn't producing coming into the trade deadline, I wouldn't see. It wouldn't surprise me, wouldn't shock me if they did make a move with him.
Yeah, and it wouldn't shock me either. And I think it might be coming. I wouldn't think so in the last few weeks here. I didn't think so at all, but I think it might now. I don't know. All right, 7 Chirps is sponsored by Lops Brewing, Lobster Brewery and Tasting Room in downtown Woonsocket, Rhode Island, specializing in small batch ales and lagers, including the Bar Down New England IPA. It's open 7 days a week. Use the coupon code SPORTS to get 10% off your online order at lopsbrewing.com. And you can also follow them at Lops Brewing for new beers and events. And chirp number 1, Fabian Lysell, and the comments by his coach that were a little interesting. And let's hear the clip now.
When you look at a guy like Lysell, how have you seen him progress over his time here?
Listen, there's a lot of good things he does. He can create anxiety with his feet. But for Fabian, he has to recognize that sometimes there's not always a play to be made. I think that's still in his growth. He's learning that. It's not saying that he won't, but the team game is real important, and he's got 5 other guys there. I hate the play in the third period where he's trying to beat a guy 1-on-4, and that's the stuff he's got to get out of his game, and it's recognizing that. And we're getting into year 2 here. He's got to start buying in, or he won't play for Jim Montgomery. That's a big part of Monty's game is the team game and building the team game, and a lot of that is possession. You can't necessarily chip the puck, get it back, expand and hit the weak side D. You need 5 other guys to be a part of that, and you have to be connected and a willingness to play that way. And until you do, then you're out of here. You're not in the American League. Then you're Jim Montgomery's problem. But until then, he's got to start building that into his game.
Boy, that's interesting in that he flat out says he's not going to play for Jim Montgomery. Yeah. And it's just in tonight against the Marlies, about 8 minutes left in the second period. It's a 2-2 game. And what does he do? 1-on-4 inside the blue line and loses the puck again. I don't know. I find it interesting, and I'll hear your thoughts on it, and then I have an interesting thought as that sort of a deeper look at it. Go ahead.
I find it very interesting, and the part that it stuck out to me was that if he gets out of the AHL and up to the Bruins, he'll be Jim Montgomery's problem,
Right.
Not like Jim Montgomery's player, or he'll be playing in the NHL.
Problem.
He'll be his problem.
Right.
So that sounds like he really has problems kind of fitting into the team concept down there. And maybe it's a thing between him and the coach where the coach really doesn't like him. He's never liked him. It could be an issue of that. But it sounds really more like on ice, he's just kind of selfish and tries to do too much. And maybe he's trying to do too much to prove himself, but that's not going to get you noticed unless it's getting you noticed in the wrong ways. So
here's my problem. In the scouting process when you're drafting players, like, why is it that the Bruins are trying to get a guy like this and then try to make him into their two-way, defensively conscious player? They know, why don't they know this going in, that a guy like Lysell, Brett Harrison, there have been other guys too in the past that they don't play a ton of defense. They do this one-on-one stuff. They have very good offensive talent, but you're telling why are you? I have a problem with who they're scouting, who they're drafting, and if there's an actual plan there, if there's a profile of a player that they look at it, or are they just staring at the board and throwing darts at it?
I mean, by some of the picks in the past, it seems like they may be throwing.
I mean, why are you surprised that Lysell does this? Like, why are you surprised?
Right. So the staring at the board and throwing darts, I mean, if that was the case, like, the board in 2015 probably would have had a lot better guys on it when they were throwing the darts.
Dart throwing? Yeah.
Did they were there a couple of pages stuck together, and when they turned the page over,
Right.
a whole section was missing, and then they threw the dart, and they were like, Zach's edition. Zach's edition. What?
He's
What?
on page 4.
Yeah. That's not a page 1 guy. What are we doing here, fellas? Somebody jerking off with the magazine again? I mean, can we figure some things out? I mean, I agree what you're saying though about Lysell, because I think that he really has an issue with how the team game is played. And then, do you scout a guy like that and just be like, look, he's not going to play defense for us. This is an offensive guy. We have to cultivate that side of his game. That's what's going to get him to the league. It's not whether he's going to be the next Patrice Bergeron. Not everybody's Patrice Bergeron. No. David Pastrnak came into the league and he was not great defensively.
No.
But you brought him in here because he could score goals and make plays, and he's dynamic offensively. And his defensive game has grown. It's still not good. People say all you want. If you can back check enough and still put up points and do the things, that should be good enough. He's terrible in his own. Pasternak's terrible in his own zone. Right. Terrible. Last night against Minnesota, there was a few times where he just went out to the point and like waved his stick around, and the defenseman walked around him and went in for really high quality chances. So it's not like he's lighting the world on fire defensively. So if you have guys that you draft that aren't great defensively, like you shouldn't be trying to change them into a different type of player. They should be able to be the player they are, and then just add some to their defensive game enough that they can play at the NHL level and produce offensively and do the stuff offensively that you need them to do, and hope that the other guys on the ice will cover up for that.
Well, they seemed to draft Patra because he had some defensive attributes, like he could play some defense and he was a well-rounded player. So what I don't understand is it just seems that they're drafting guys who are a certain type of player, and then trying to mold them into something else that they're not. And that to me, that's really a risky game, because a guy like Fabian Lysell is never going to be, Henrik Zetterberg or something. Like he's never going to be this, Guy Carbonneau. But they draft him because he's supremely talented offensively, but this is what you kind of get with him. So I don't understand. I guess I don't understand. Like, if there's a certain profile of a type of player that they're looking for, this guy doesn't seem to fit that profile. And now we get into danger zone time where the Providence coach has obviously had enough with him. Like, he's obviously very frustrated to say he's going to be Monty's problem. Like, that's a real choice of words there. So and he said stuff about Merkulov too earlier in the season. Like, Mougenel seems to not care what he'll be pretty blunt.
Yeah.
Point with his players. And I think that, I just don't understand, I guess, what they're doing in drafting and how they identify players and say, okay, this is kind of the player that we want. If you're really defensively conscious as an organization and you want two-way players in your forward group, then that's who you should be drafting. Like, that's who you should be drafting. Own it.
Right. You should be going after the gritty guys who are going to win puck battles and those kind of things. Like, don't draft Europeans that float.
Yeah.
That doesn't fit your profile of the team that you want to be. Like that this has got back to the whole thing of what is their identity, what do they want their identity to be? Hard to play against, and then we talked about that before. What does that really mean?
What does that mean?
It's hard to play. Is it a hard forecheck where you're beating guys up? Is it, holding the puck down? Well, like, what is it? And I don't know if they really know. Like, they have an idea of, like, hard to play against, like puck possession, but like, you don't have all these guys. Not all the guys that you draft are Charlie Coyle size that can possess the puck down low. You're drafting guys like Lysell, who are 5'10" or 5'11". Patra is 5'10", 170. He's not a, down low puck possession guy. So really, what is your identity? And I don't really think they know what it is.
I don't think so either.
It's defense and goaltending, but their defense still isn't built like you would want to build a defense like that. It's not nasty and defense minded. It's puck movers. Some of them are small. Some of them are big. Not any of them really are physical. Lindholm isn't. Lowry isn't. Grzelcyk isn't. Floorboard's, big, but he's slow. He's not a puck mover. So, like, what are you really doing? Do you really have any idea what your identity is as a team? And even though they're playing well and they gel well together and the culture's great, I don't really think they draft and develop to a certain identity. I really don't.
No, I think there's a difference in philosophy between Sweeney and Neely. Neely was a power forward, banging guys, gritty, to the front of the net, the whole thing. Like, he was like fighting and tough, and he wants the hitting and everything. And Sweeney was a diminutive defenseman who could skate. He was Matt Grzelcyk, really. And that's so that's who he was. So he likes puck movers and stuff like that, and fluid skaters. And Neely wants to bang you through the glass. Like, so there's a difference in philosophy there for sure, because every once in a while Neely will say, okay, go get Nick Ritchie, go get Zach Ronaldo, like, when he gets pissed off, like, go ahead and get these guys. And then the rest of the time they're just getting guys just to get guys. I don't even know what exactly they're trying to do. Now, they've been really good because they had a really good core of players, and they really hit a home run with Pasternak. I mean, he's a prolific goal scorer, but now I'd like to see them, as they move the roster over, to find an identity and to try to piece in some guys that actually fit what they're trying to do, like you said. And all right, Chirp 2, Matt Patra goes to World Juniors. Do you agree or disagree with this move?
I think I agree with it, just because of the way they had been handling him. He's benched in third periods. He sits out the other night against I guess it was against the Islanders, right? He sat out that game.
Right, yeah.
Because the Islanders are kind of a physical team. Maybe it was for that reason. I don't know. First of a second night of a back-to-back or whatever it is. But I really think he needs to go play a bunch of minutes, gain his confidence back, and play kind of in all situations and so forth to kind of get going here again, and maybe he'll be rejuvenated for the second half of the season, because I really haven't liked the way the Bruins have handled them this year, and if they're going to continue to do the third period benchings and stuff, I would rather see him go somewhere and play a bunch of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he's been teetering on, being kind of there. He's done some decent things, and then some other times you really kind of see his age, you kind of see his size being a problem. You see, the rigorous schedule being a problem. I mean, there's been some times when I could see why they would load management him. I just don't love the whole sitting him in the third. Like, if you're gonna load management the thing, then sit him for a game and
Yeah.
schedule games off like Leo Carlson. Like, I just why are we sitting? Why are they sitting him in the third? That looks weird. First of all,
Yeah.
it just looks weird, and it looks like you have no faith in the kid, which
Right.
he pretty much said, "I'm going to go with the guys who help us win." That tells Poitras, a 19-year-old, that he's not helping you win, so he's not good enough to play in the third period. I just think it's really a weird way to handle it, like the whole just sit him in certain
Yeah.
games.
It is a
Um,
weird way to handle it, and he shouldn't be handling it that way. And it does
No.
give Poitras pause, I think, for
Of course
how
it does.
the coaching staff feels about him, and it's not good for his long-term development, I don't think, to handle him in that way.
No, and I don't think so either. I was against sending the World Juniors just because I didn't think they had anybody. They're really thin at center, and they really could use his playmaking at center. But now I'm okay with it because of what you said. It's just I'd rather that than have him go play against good competition in a tournament for his country than to sit in the third period. Like, it's just yeah, I just rather do that. All right, chirp number 3, yay or nay segment. Yay or nay on Anthony Duclair?
Yay for me. I am.
Yay on the Duclair.
Yeah,
Okay.
he is fast, number one. He is aggressive, number two. So he'll hit and so forth, and he can score goals and make plays.
Sure.
So yeah, all in. Sure, sign me up.
Okay.
They can use more guys that are fast and can score and hit. So yes, 100%
Okay.
yes.
Played for 7 franchises over 12 seasons, 518 games, 128 goals, 144 assists for 272 points, plus 39. Was on the Panthers last year.
Mhm.
Now with the Sharks.
Yep.
And a guy that you could probably get right now. And I would be with it too. Like, I if you could put him in there at second line winger, I think that's a pretty good thing. Now, would you include DeBrusk in something like that?
Not for him, no. You could probably get him for a lower round pick, I would think.
Right.
Maybe not
Okay.
maybe a third or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Alright.
Maybe not. But maybe it would be a second. But yeah, I don't think you would need to trade DeBrusk. You could trade DeBrusk in a bigger trade to pull in somebody else, I think.
Right.
But yeah, I would 100% do the Duclair thing. I think he would fit right into one of those lines there, second, third line, just fine. And
like you said, they could use another guy.
Yeah, they could
with Duclair.
Right.
Right.
So that's where you need either Jake to get going or bring someone in to replace Jake's lack of production.
Okay. So yay on Anthony Duclair. And I am too. I think that would actually be a decent little move for them. I think it would. Especially if, like you said, if it wasn't for a big return, like that's a decent little move.
Yeah, because he competes too. He competes, and he's a plus player, so he clearly values defense, and scores, has more assists than goals, so can make some plays. So yeah, I think that would be a real nice ad. I mean, basically, he's like a half point per game guy. That would be fit right into their team. Right in the middle of their forwards.
Yeah, sure. All right, chirp 4. Who is the next prospect you think will get a look on the Bruins? Who's the next call up of a prospect?
I think it could very well be Farinacci. I was going to say Merkulov, but I think it's going to be Farinacci. I think he showed has shown well kind of all season long in Providence. You know, was leading them in scoring. I'm not sure if he still is or not, but he was leading them in scoring. Makes a lot of plays. You know, he's tenacious, little bit of grit. So I think he's a guy that you could see maybe get some time.
Yeah, I think Merkulov is 13 points in his last 10 games. He's been hot as a pistol. But Farinacci's been the most consistent player. And he's also a guy who plays a 200-foot game and was a captain at Harvard and is a, mature leader type. So he would be a safe bet to be pulled up. And I think that with Patra out for 2.5 weeks or whatever it is, I think that you might see him in this 2.5 week window, especially if someone gets dinged up.
Do you know, or our esteemed producer, Connor, do you know if he has been playing forward or center down, wing or center down in Providence? Farinacci?
I can look up tonight's lines right now for you, right
Thank
here.
you. That's sweet.
And
That's a nice thing.
And I will tell you if he is actually let's see, Mark Diver, who has who
Does
gets does a great job on the Providence Bruins stuff. Is a great follow at Mark Diver, 2 V's.
Yep.
Farinacci is third line center tonight with Topo and McLaughlin.
There you go. So there's a little center depth that you could bring up, and I think he would be kind of a natural guy to fill in there. I think Merkulov should get a look at some point this year. He's been too good to not get a look. So I really feel like his time is coming. Because they did say, Mujinal has said previously that Merkulov has really addressed some of the defensive deficiencies in his game and really improved on that earlier this year. That was kind of his focus, why he got off to kind of a slow start. So it seems like now he's kind of found the defensive side of his game, and now the offense is coming back to where it was last year, where he was really had a tremendous rookie season there for the Baby Bees.
Yeah, I like Farinacci too. Here's a dark horse.
Yeah.
Here's a dark horse if you want to go DraftKings Sportsbook, if you want to go get some moolah on this one. Plus 1,500 for Justin Brazeau.
Okay. He's a big guy. He's got
big forward, 9 goals, 9 assists this year for Providence. Always seems to score goals.
Yeah,
he's a big dude. Yeah, he's 6'4", 230, 240, whatever. He's a big, heavy-footed skater. But he finds a way.
Slow?
Slow. Yeah. But big and slow has never stopped the Bruins before.
No, it has not.
So, he could be a call up at some point. Along the way here too. So that's a dark horse. I like Farinacci too, but maybe Brazeau gets a shot at it.
I like that.
All right, Chirp 5. Monty is being a little more critical lately of people in the media. He's had it with DeBrusk. He had some words about. He's had words about some other guys on the team, Patra, and it's usually the younger guys, not necessarily the older guys. But it does sound like he sounds more like Bruce Cassidy by the day. No.
Yeah, it's interesting. Last year, he comes in, I'm going to learn from the veteran leadership. I mean, Bergeron's gone too. So there's, that veteran, steady veteran presence is gone. So maybe he feels like he has to have a little bit of a heavier hand, kind of communicating with the team and the leadership and so forth. Because the rest of the Bruins leadership outside of Marchand is all fairly young too. I mean, McAvoy's pretty young, and Pasternak, I guess, has been in the league a while, but seems kind of immature. Maybe he feels just like he needs to be a little bit more heavy-handed. But it's interesting to see him kind of taking a more, critical approach rather than the love fest that was last year.
Right, and Cassidy, it was pretty much goddamn mutiny.
Right.
From Cassidy for doing, the whole, we need to save there. Like the whole Cassidy thing is like that he did that over and over again, and the players didn't love it. You know,
Yeah.
the media loved it and the fans loved it because he
Right.
told it like it is. Great,
Yeah.
that's refreshing, wonderful. But after a while, the players are like, "Stop talking about me in the media, dude."
Right.
So, and now with Monty doing it, it's just I find it funny. I find it interesting that now he's okay to say, you know what? No, this, he's been pretty forthright on certain guys, in the media and saying this is what it is. Now, Cassidy went more for, I mean, he went at Coyle, he went at some of the core
Mhm.
guys.
Yeah.
He would say like the goalies, like,
Hmm.
but Monty's more about the rookies. He can lean, and that's like tale as old as time. Like
Sure.
NHL coaches always rip the rookies and always use them as examples.
Hmm.
It's kind of a coward move, but they do all the time. But yeah, Monty's been doing that. And I find it very interesting, and see where it goes. Really, we'll see. All right, chirp number 6. Bruins late game collapses are a serious problem. Ty Anderson had a tweet with the glaring differences between last year and this year. The Bruins last year, 47-1-2 last year when leading after 2, best in the league. This year, their .684 win percentage is 29th in the league. Only Columbus, Calgary, and San Jose, 3 bottom dwellers, have been worse at protecting leads through 40 minutes. Interesting.
That hurts. It
Bad.
hurts.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
bad.
If they were protecting leads like they were last year, they would have a similar record to what they had
They
last
would.
year.
Yes.
Because they have what, 6 overtime losses?
Yeah,
Or
they're
something like that?
4-0-6. Yeah,
Yeah.
4-0-6 in overtime.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, some other, losses late in the thirds of regulation games where they don't
Yeah.
even make it to overtime or whatever. They could
Right.
be sitting here with, 2, 3, 4 losses instead of, 5 or 6 and 6 overtime loss. I mean, they would have a very, very similar record to last year if they were
They would.
protecting leads at the same clip, but
Mhm.
they're not. And
Nope.
it's a real problem. I don't really know how to fix it. They are, out physical at times. At times their shifts are too long and they're out there for too long. At times they can't get a clear when they need one. They can't get a play when they need one. They can't find a rebound when they need one. Like last night, McAvoy blocks the shot, falls basically at his feet. He can't find the puck and somebody grabs it and throws it in. Ryan Hartman grabs it and throws it in. They gave up 2 rebound goals on pucks that bounced right back into the slot. And then the overtime winner was, nothing Allmark could do on that. It was a 3-on-1 with a cross crease for a one-timer for Kaprizov, who's not going to miss that. But, they just have found ways to lose instead of finding ways to win. And they do it in new and spectacular ways every game and every week.
How about Danton Heinen? Before Marchand scored, he had a couple of golden opportunities, shot one right in the belly in the slot by himself. Then there was one in tight where I don't know if he missed the net from 3 inches away. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But Jesus, and that's the thing about someone like Heinen. Like, I know everybody loves him and everybody talks about his defensive this, and he's PJ Axelson all over again. Like, he has no finish at all. And he's just, he gets you there. He's Danny Paille.
Someone actually tweeted out last night if Danton Heinen had hands and a scoring ability, he would be a $5 to $6 million a year player. 100%. Because he does everything well and he gets really good chances. He just can't finish.
Oh my God. Doesn't he get the best chances? He gets the best chances.
Yeah.
Like every time there's a great chance.
He moves well without the puck. He has a good stick. He does all the right things. He makes little plays. But he just can't. The finish just isn't there, and it drives you crazy. Kind of like Paille, the guy would have 2 or 3 breakaways a game, and high glass, into the crowd, into the goalie's crest. I mean, it was comical to watch. Like the guy came in, and his hands were just so tense on the stick. It was it was like he was trying to strangle someone, and instead he strangled the life out of his stick. And the scoring chance.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why Paille was a 6th overall pick or whatever. He's all the tools, like all the tools, and then just high glass crew. It just
Yeah.
wasn't working. All right, Chirp 7. How much do the Bruins need a top 6 forward at the deadline? They're 18th in the league in goals, 19th in assists, 17th in shooting percentage. Is it time for an upgrade, or bite your tongue? Is this a transition year because the Bees aren't a serious contender? Ooh.
I mean, I would like I would like them to make a move for somebody and go for it here. You don't know how many more years you're going to have with Marchand. So who knows what their goalie situation is going to look like in a few years? Is Swayman going to stay? Are they going to sign him long term? What's the story with Allmark? So I really think, especially now when you have a team that's at the top of their division and one of the top teams in the league, you really have to go for it. So I'm mortgaging what I can mortgage, and I'm trying to find guys who can score some goals and maybe find a guy to shore up that defense too, and make another run at it. What the fuck? Maybe you get hot. You got the goaltending to maybe get hot in the playoffs and get on a little hot streak and make a run.
Coming into the year, this had all the makings of a transition year,
and
it probably would have been okay. I mean, we get it. I mean, Jesus. But if you look at the team now and the rest of the league, like, they have the goaltending, like you said. They have a top pair defense that's very good. They play good defensive hockey for the most part. They have a great goal scorer. They have Brad Marchand. They have like a lot of the pieces there. They're literally like 2 moves away from still being, with a legitimate chance to win the cup, like legitimate chance. So you should, to me, if you're that close, you do it every time.
Sure,
like
you do.
You go for it every time if you're that close. They're not 4 moves away. They're
No.
like 2.
Yeah.
And then they're there again. Like it's right there for them. So I would say that they have every chance right now to make a couple of moves and really be a serious contender to win the cup. They do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they do. I think they are right there. They have most of the stuff that you need. They just need a little more help on the goal scoring area. Jake, are you listening? Help.
Jesus, Jake.
And maybe you need to take the jinx off of Jake. Take the
voodoo.
Take the voodoo hex off of Jake. You put it on him when you said your long-term, bold prediction was Jake was going to suck this year. You need to take the hex off of the goddamn guy and help him out, for crying out loud.
You know what? My bold prediction that one time was that he'd score 25 or whatever, and he did it.
Yes.
So I hit that one.
I think do you have a DeBrusk voodoo doll in your house?
No, I just have a Frederick. Yeah, I know. I don't have one here.
You got a Frederick Fight Club shirt at your house,
I gotta get a DeBrusk. Like, what are those little things you beat up? What are those little soft those little Muppet things? What do they call them? I don't know. Or
like
a bot.
Like
what are those
like
big
pillow
heads?
What are you talking
Those little
about?
pillows. Those little whatever pincushion things.
A plushie.
Yes, one of those. I need a Jake DeBrusk plushie or whatever.
I need a Jake DeBrusk stress ball so I can squeeze the life out of it when he does dumb shit. But let's take the hex off him right now. Unhex him, please.
I'm taking the hex off of Jake DeBrusk. Jake DeBrusk this week is my pick to click this week.
Okay, what's
multiple goals this week?
This is what we need to have happen, though. You need to change your bold prediction to something else.
Yes, do it.
My bold prediction to something else. Okay. Anything else at all?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
And here, while you think,
no, not anything else. You need to not predict that a player on the Bruins will boldly be bad. Your bold prediction needs to be something. Like, you could say that Jake DeBrusk will have 7 fights or something instead. If you want to have a bold prediction, Milan Lucic comes back, they let him back on the team somehow, and he scores a game-winning goal. That could be a bold prediction. I don't care, but you got to take the hex off of Jake.
Okay, I'm going. All right, bold prediction. I'm going I'm gonna go Pasternak for 60 goals.
All right. I love it. I think he's
Pasternak
on
for
pace
60
right
goals.
now for 52 or 3,
Yeah.
I believe.
Going
That should
Pasternak.
not count. That was not a bold prediction about Jake DeBrusk. If you need to change the voodoo back to good because you had it from good and changed it to bad, you need to make a good prediction. How many goals he's going to score in a certain amount of
Jake?
time? How many?
Oh, you got to go. You got to go.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta go to Jake.
Got to
Okay.
be specific to Jake. No cheating here. No,
Okay.
no.
I'm going Jake scores let me see.
Well, Jake gets 20.
Jake gets, yes. I'm gonna go Jake gets, what's he have now? 4?
Yeah, it's not
I'm
good.
gonna go when's the All-Star break?
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
go Jake scores 10 more by the
All-Star
All-Star break.
break is in February.
Yeah. Jake has 10 more by the All-Star break. So he'll have 14 goals by the All-Star break.
And that is February 3rd. So basically 6
Basically,
weeks away.
yeah, basically 6 weeks.
Yeah, he has 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points in 29 games, and he is a +5. He's shooting right now at 6.2%.
Yeah.
Which is below almost all of the forwards.
And I'm also going to say this. I think Jake gets multiple goals this week. These 3 games, Winnipeg, who else did they play? Winnipeg, Minnesota, and Buffalo. He scores multiple goals in these 3 games. So at least 2 goals in the 3 games.
Here's an interesting little tidbit, and I'll just throw this out there. Just throwing it out there. In his career, when Jake's had good years, okay, 2017 as a rookie, 70 games, 16 goals. He shot 11.2%. 2018, 27 goals. He shot at 17%.
Wow.
In 2019, 19 goals in 65 games, 11.8%. 2020, COVID year, 41 games, 5 goals, 5.4%.
Wow.
2021, 77 games, 25 goals, 13.6. And 2022, last year, 64 games, 27 goals, 14.1%. This year, 29 games, 6.2. So in the 2 years where he's been bad, he's been under 10%.
He's been bad.
And he's been bad. Yeah. So this is an under 10% year right now. So it's not looking good. So we need Jake
context on your prediction
to turn it around.
You are predicting 10 goals in 19 games.
10 goals in 19 games. Yep.
There it is. Yep. Turned it around.
There it is. Jake this last game where he fucked up the overtime. He's gonna get a goal. He's gonna get at least 2 goals in these next 3 games. He's gonna light the lamp, and Jake scores them in bunches when he goes.
Does.
So
tell you what, we need Selly season back, and we need it back big time.
Selly season and a big old celebration when he scores a goal. And I'm gonna say it's at Winnipeg. He lights the lamp. Boom,
love it,
and he scores. So there you go. But here's the bigger question: are you a Swiftie?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I freely admit it. I am. I like her music. I think she does everything the right way, treats people the right way for a celebrity. Pretty unbelievable that she seems like a regular person for the most part. Yeah. So I'm all in on Taylor. I would go see her in concert 100%.
I'll tell you what. I like her non-pop, like her non-hits.
Yeah.
Like there's some really good songs she has on her non-hits. Like more of the indie kind of style. Right. I like those songs, but I'll say this. I became even bigger fan of her when they showed a clip of her at the Patriots game saying, "What the fuck?" Like when Kelsey got murdered in the end zone.
Nothing more endearing than a beautiful girl screaming swear words.
Oh my gosh, that was like I immediately fell in love. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Throwing some kind of a hat, swearing like a truck driver. I love it.
Yeah. Fellow Sagittarian, just fucking letting it loose in the.
I'm in.
God, there it is. I mean, she's a good. Look at her.
She's a good kisser.
She's a good kisser.
Yeah, she's a good kisser. Matt looks happy in that picture.
Yeah, I'm happy as a pig in shit right there. Look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, maybe I should play the lottery or go to DraftKings Sportsbook. Boston's hometown sportsbook is live right here in Massachusetts. Bet local on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. With DraftKings, to celebrate, all new customers will receive up to $200 in bonus bets when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using code ITR. You can now bet local on money line, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbooks. That's DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Sign up with the code ITR to get up to $200 in bonus bets to use now that mobile sports betting is live in Massachusetts. That's code ITR only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
If you or a loved one is experiencing problems with gambling, call 800-327-5050 or visit helplinema.org to speak with a trained specialist, free and confidentially 24/7. 21 plus, physically present in Mass. Eligibility restrictions apply, subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as free bets. Terms at DraftKings.com/MA.
And we've got a beauty for this week, and the beauty is the one and only David Pastrnak.
This'll teach those filthy bastards who's lovable.
Pastrnak, in his last 10 games, has 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points. He is a prolific goal scorer. He is at 19 goals on the season now, and just 27 years old. He's worth just about every penny. I mean, I know people were talking about his money and the contract and everything, but this guy just produces. I mean, and I'll tell you what, he's a better passer than given credit for. Like, he can really pass the puck.
He can.
Yeah.
He has a pretty good all-around game for a guy of his offensive production, I would say. You know,
Right.
there aren't a lot of guys, and I mean, look at Ovechkin's defensive metrics. They're horrendous.
Yeah.
You know, so for a guy who scores at the level that he does, he really does a pretty good job. I mean, I know I just said he was terrible in defensive zone and that stuff, but overall, his defensive game is not that bad. So, you know, for a guy to put up numbers like that and then still kind of contribute here and there defensively, you know, it's a pretty good and rare trait to have in a guy of that ilk.
I'll tell you what, and here's an interesting tidbit I heard from Greg Wyshynski today. If we didn't take out the COVID time period and also the lockout of 04-05, and Ovechkin was on the same pace, he'd have 899 goals, 5 goals more than Gretzky right now. If he didn't lose the COVID time and the 04-05 lockout.
Yeah, the COVID time and I mean, that's going to hurt him because he seems like he's fallen off here this season.
Yeah, this is the end of the line.
Yeah, it seems like it might be for him. So, you know, it's too bad. I think he'll hang on though and get the rep. Yeah,
for sure.
All right, so now we have a bender, and that's our good friend Pat Maroon.
I'm a bender.
Because why not? He just always does stuff that irritates the hell out of me. Last night he hit McAvoy through the numbers, knocked McAvoy's helmet off, and was looking like incredulous, like why people would be coming after him after the hit. Like, you just put their Norris Trophy caliber defenseman, you know, through the boards, who just can't return from injury. You wonder why guys are coming after you and why the fans are looking for a penalty. And Jacob Lauko lit him up. I believe Lauko behind the net, or it might have been Steen behind the net, just floored him.
Steen.
Yeah. And that was a great hit. And that fourth line played excellent last night. And it was too bad that they couldn't get a little bit more reward with a win for how well they played.
Yeah, it was Steen because Jack Edwards, with the line of the night, said, "I'm not doing the tail of the tape." Because of the Maroon situation last time. And you know, Maroon kind of turned, I think they didn't call it because he kind of turned his body as he was hitting him. It's still a dirty asshole hit.
Sure it is.
But he made it look not as bad by kind of turning. He didn't go face forward into him. but it was right through the numbers, like you said.
It was
And
through
it
the
was
numbers, and then I think he slid off to the left after he
Right.
bounced them off the glass. So like
Right.
240 pounds, full speed into the glass from behind, and then he
Mm-hmm.
slides off to the left, and it's like, oh, he caught him on the side there.
Yeah.
Nope, no, he didn't.
And I'll tell you what, there's very few people more fucking useless than Pat Maroon on
Yeah.
a hockey rink. Like he adds nothing else right now in his he has 3 goals and 9 assists. He adds nothing else to the thing right now. I mean, he's just sort of a blob out
He
there.
beat the bag out of Parker Wotherspoon after Wotherspoon
Oh
later.
my God, did he ever? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he
he can
did.
do that,
He can do that.
apparently.
Yeah.
But Justin Brazeau, I feel like might have more offensive upside and whatnot than Maroon, but
100%.
but he's a similar ilk as far as like skating and size wise, where I don't know if he's going to be able to get up and down the ice. Brazeau, I'm talking about,
Right.
because he's similar, I think, in Maroon in that regard, where he's a real big body and he's not real fast. So trying to keep with NHL pace of play might be a challenge for him.
Yeah.
Maroon does have 3 goals and 9 assists for 12 points. I will be the defender with him on my fantasy team. I went to drop his lazy ass and was ultimately shocked.
Yeah. I mean, still.
that's I guess that's kind of shocking, but he still sucks. All right. It's the centennial season, and we do the spotlight. And it's the great Normand Levier, who we saw at the Garden in the Rangers game. He came out with Ray Bourque and others. It was great to see him, to have him, just still be able to be around after what happened to him in 1982, 41 years ago.
Yeah, crazy.
It's just crazy. And it happened in Vancouver back then. He played 66 games with Boston his rookie year, 14 goals, 19 assists. And then during that season in 82-83, he had 3 goals and 6 assists in the first 9 games. It was really coming on as one of the really good young players in the league, and had this terrible aneurysm that cost him his career and almost his life. And Bourque and him have a long-standing relationship. They were roommates. He didn't speak any English, Leveille, and Bourque helped him. Bourque had a funny story where Normand would eat what Ray ate because he couldn't order at restaurants. So Ray would order the meal and he'd eat the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's a great relationship they've had, and I know that Peter McNabb for many years would bring Normand Levier around the Garden back in the day. Back when I covered the team in the mid 90s, I saw Levier a couple times there. And it's great that he has been such a great part of the Bruins organization, and it was just great to see him out there, and that he's still still doing his thing, and it's just great to have him as part of the organization.
Yeah, it's too bad, really, because he really had a promising career. He had a pretty good rookie year, and then he was really starting to come on there in his second year, and it's too bad that it was tragically cut short like that. But it is great to see him out and around and with the guys from his team and his era the other night at the Era's night. And I'll tell you something, the Bruins are doing a great job with all the centennial different celebrations and stuff for all the different eras from the different teams, and it's great to see some of these alumni back at the Garden and the tributes and all that stuff. They've really done a real nice job of kind of honoring these guys from the different eras and so forth at the Garden and for the Bruins. So if you can, try to get over there and see some of this stuff and some of the centennial celebrations and different era tributes at the Garden.
Absolutely. All right, and it's Providence Bruins Spotlight. And this week, the beauty of the week for the Providence Bruins is Georgi Merkulov. In 5 games, 5 goals, 4 assists. He does have an assist tonight on a goal by Dan Renouf. Won a faceoff back to Renouf for a goal. He has 6 goals and 7 assists in his last 10. And right now at 10 goals, 13 assists on the season in 27 games. And like you said earlier, his defensive game is coming along, and here's a guy who next year definitely, I believe, gets a spot. And if you can have Patra and Merkulov and Beecher as your centerman next season, that's a pretty good job by the drafting and developing and having 3 homegrown centers.
Yeah, I think he may come in and start on a wing. That's what they've done with some of the guys. Beecher's played a little bit of wing previously, and he's a bigger guy. Merkulov, a little bit of a smaller guy. I think they like their centers usually fairly big. Coyle's a big guy. Beecher's a big guy. They had Nosek, who was big. So you may see him come in and start at the wing, but they really do need a guy with his kind of playmaking ability, and offensive touch, because they're struggling for it right now at the pro level.
Sure. All right. And Connor has the big reveal. I have no idea who it is. The prospect spotlight. And I'm not 100% sure who the hell it is.
Drum roll. Can we get a drum roll?
Not a single one.
Awesome.
Not a single one. Okay.
Spotlight
There's
because
no spotlight. You know what? We already spotlighted Justin Brazo.
is terrible. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, but the
there we go.
prospect school sucks.
And
Prospect school sucks. We are depressed. But Justin Brazo is a guy I'm going for it. It's a dark horse call up sometime this year.
Love it.
All right, week ahead. Bruins will be at Winnipeg on 12/22. The next night at Minnesota for a rematch with the Wild on 12/23. And then after a Christmas break, it's 12/27 at the Buffalo Sabres, a team the Bruins have dominated. And you guessed it right now. It is trivia time.
Trivia.
All right. Can you guys hear me pretty good?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, perfect. For whatever reason, your guys' audio on your end is coming out funky for me.
Nice.
But anywho, Bruins goaltender question of the week.
Okay.
Who had the most Bruins shutouts in their entire Bruins career?
Oh, for fuck. The most shutouts. I'm going to go most shutouts. I'm going to go
Tiny
Tuukka.
Thompson.
Is it Tiny Thompson?
Ding, 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 ding. Tiny Thompson
Thompson
with 74 shutouts. Can you name
Jesus.
any of the top 4?
Tuukka.
That's number 2.
Okay.
Cheevers.
Nope.
I'm going to go who was the other guy there?
Rimsack.
Number 3. There you go.
Okay. All right.
Tyler
Tough.
is on fire in question number
Thomas.
1.
Tim
Repeat
Thomas.
that. Tim Thomas is number 4. Damn,
Wow.
Tyler got 4 for 4.
Hey, Jesus Christ.
Look at this.
My God. We're going to have to give you something.
All right. Question
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
2 out of 3.
Really
I got an extra one for you today.
Okay.
The award in the AHL for the best defenseman is named after which Bruins defenseman?
Is it the Brad Park Award?
Negative.
Okay.
Is it the Bobby Orr Award?
No, that's what I thought it would be as well. That's what shocked me. That's why
Is
this is a thumper.
Is it the Ray Bork Award?
Nope.
Is it the Tommy Cross Award?
It is not the Tommy Cross Award.
The Glenn Wesley Award?
Yeah, Elia Frady Award.
It's Bruins hockey, baby.
Mike Milbury? I don't know.
Old school Bruins hockey.
Old school.
Oh, Eddie Shore. Eddie Shore.
Eddie
There you
Shore.
go. It's the Eddie Shore Award.
Okay. Eddie Shore Award. Okay.
Man,
Wow.
Tyler's really sweeping the
Yeah,
board
he
tonight.
is. He
Oof.
is.
Maddie's
is.
going to have to be paying for the next bar tab or something. I don't know.
guess.
We're going to have to
I
keep a
guess.
running tally from episode.
Yeah,
to
we'll have
episode.
to. Yeah, we'll have to do that.
Yeah, until I start to lose, and then we can scrap.
Yeah,
that.
then he'll be like, screw this. Takes his ball and goes home.
So, question number 3.
Okay.
And this is going to be for active Bruins players that are on the Bruins roster who
Okay.
also played their rookie season for the Bruins, who tallied the most points in their rookie season. So the thing that you have to keep in mind is they play on the Bruins roster currently,
And they played for the
and they
Bruins.
played on their rookie season on the Bruins.
Okay. Who had the most points?
That
I'm
is
gonna say-
correct.
I'm
During
gonna
their
say-
rookie season.
I'm going to say Jake DeBrusk.
He is in the top 3, but you would be incorrect.
Oh. Was it Danton Heinen?
Ding, 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 ding.
That's a
Number 1
tricky
with
one.
47
You
points.
tricky
is
little bastard.
Yeah.
Danton Heinen. I was
Uh.
chuckling when you guys started talking about him earlier on in the show,
Uh,
and I knew that I was going to ask that one coming up. And then, of course, number 2 is Jake DeBrusk. And for the bonus in the cookie shelf here, can you get number 3, Matt? Redeem yourself.
I'm going to say,
This is a layup.
Pasternak.
Almost a layup, I guess.
Marchand? No.
Marchand, there you go.
Marchand. Okay. Marchand. Danton Heinen, huh? Son of a gun.
I know.
Maybe that's why everybody loves him. I know.
Yeah. 47 points his rookie year. You expecting a jump to sophomore year. And what happened? Jumped off the Charles River Bridge.
Jumped
And
right to the
Heinen also
all
did
that kind
have
of
33
production again.
points with Crosby and the Penguins 2 years ago.
Yeah, Nick Ritchie for Danton Heinen.
Mhm.
Go down in the annals, the anals.
Yeah.
Go to InsideTheRink.com for Bruins Benders merchandise. Follow us on social media at Bruins Benders. And hey, subscribe to the Inside the Rink YouTube page. It's been a pleasure. We'll do it again next week. Thanks a lot for listening. Go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.